We got 2 Monday night games to break down today. We got the Falcons and Raiders. We also got Bears and Vikings. We're going to break down this game to see how fantasy points can be scored, how the ball is going to be flowing to help you set your lineups. Your lineups have pretty much been set. Drop in the comments right now what you need from your fantasy players to make it onto the next round of the playoffs. We'll drop that blue cap emoji, the rally cap on you guys to help you out, to give you that good luck. Let us know what you need down below. Also, you may want to drop some rally caps on some other people to help them out and maybe give you some good juju off that rub as well. On top of that, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're going deep on the waiver wire this week. This is going to be a very important waiver wire run because we've had some injuries, especially at the running back position. Some players to look at. And we're going to help you set your lineups throughout the week. So click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching. You do not want to disappoint Ric Flair. We're looking at our first game today. Bears and Vikings. We got a 44 over-under. So Vegas is saying we might get some moderate scoring here. And the last time we played, November 24th, it was 30-27. So we got some good scoring in that matchup. So we might see that again if Caleb Williams can keep up and push the pace. He's been up and down this year. He's a rookie. He's looked like a good rookie, like an okay rookie. He's got some good moments on his name, but also some bad ones too. That being said, if we can push the pace and keep it going, it could be all right for us and fantasy on both sides. But if he stinks it up and it doesn't look good, it could be bad on both sides of the ball for us in fantasy football. It might be marginal for top guys like Justin Jefferson, but he should be all right. But Caleb Williams is the X factor in this game because when we look at Caleb Williams, he could be lights out fantasy football wise. He's got the weapons. He's done it a few times this year. Or he could be one of the worst quarterbacks in the league when it comes to accuracy, decision making. When we look at Sam Darnold, pretty safe matchup. Kind of ho-hum this week. Like, you don't love it. It's not super sexy. And that's how he's ranked at 4 for 4 right now. QB 8 on the week. So he should deliver decent results in this matchup. I don't see how he doesn't. Unless the game script gets rather slow. They win it on the ground. But Caleb Williams here is the X factor for everybody involved. Because if he can push the pace, you can get some Bears players hitting. On top of that, if he can push the pace, you can probably get a little bit more out of your Vikings players as well. He is the X factor in this matchup. And you cannot guess what he's going to do. And we're looking at Aaron Jones. He's been very steady this year. He's at least going to get you a good 10 to 12. Last time against the Bears, 21.9. And you're looking at what the Bears are doing, the running backs. In the last 3 games, they're averaging 30.1 PPR fantasy points per game to running backs. That's above league average by 35.9%. On the season, they're more than league average by 11.8% with 25.1 PPR fantasy points per game. And you've been wanting to start running backs against the Bears all season long. And you're just looking at this, they will break in some games. They broke Aaron Jones this year. Isaac Rondo, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams. Just a lot of upside for those running backs who are getting a lot of volume, a little bit of work in the passing game. There's upside here for Aaron Jones. Should be all right when you look at this. How could it run bad? Is if this game gets very slow, gets hurt, maybe if the offense is just cooking through the passing game and decide to slow things down, mix in Cam Akers a little bit more because they got the lead, maybe something like that. That could potentially happen. We're also looking at how things can run bad so you can make your decision. However, when you look at this matchup, you look at what Aaron Jones is doing, the touches, it looks okay. You're looking at the wide receivers for the Minnesota Vikings. I can't name you one person who's putting Justin Jefferson on the bench. I just can't. I have not seen that on the internet. I like to look through start-sit questions on the internet and see what people are doing and what people are saying to gauge the market. The S&P 500 of fantasy football. Jordan Addison is an upside play in this matchup. Big time. He was last time against the Bears with 30.2 PPR fantasy points. He's got a few wide receiver 1 weeks on the season. And this game could go nuclear in that direction. Bears above league average when it comes to allowing fantasy points. 2 wide receivers in their last 3 games by 3.2%. They're about league average on the season when it comes to allowing fantasy production. Justin Jefferson's got a harder matchup, but he's Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison might get a little bit extra volume due to that. But Jordan Addison is a good gamble play for this week. Like, if I had a gamble on a wide receiver too to hit this week, Jordan Addison would be one of my top guys. That being said, I said the word gamble, so how could that break on us? Justin Jefferson getting the targets, Hockenson getting the targets, Vikings getting up early, slowing it down. That could happen. Caleb Williams throwing too many interceptions, slowing it down on the Vikings offense. This is a fast-paced offense by nature. That being said, it could slow down if they get a lead because they don't need to keep pushing it, and they may want to rest their starters if they get a good lead. So we're really counting on Caleb Williams. Like I said in the beginning of this video, we are counting on Caleb Williams to fuel us. TJ Hockenson has been up and down, but has been looking good with volume, pushing a 20% target share at 19%. That is up there. His ADOT at 7.7 is okay. It's actually decent for the tight end position. The Bears allow a fair clip to tight ends. These last 3 weeks, they've been getting lit up. Hockenson went off against them, so you may want that rub again. But you got Sam Laporta, George Kittle, Evan Ingram went off, Zach Ertz went off, Trey McBride. Good tight ends that get volume go off against the Bears and do well. That is what that's saying. That is what the numbers are saying. Tight ends who see targets, who are big-time producers in their offense, generally do well against the Bears. That being said, TJ Hockenson already did well against them. So your odds are looking good for TJ Hockenson this week. How could that run bad? He's tight end. Tight ends just run bad randomly. He's getting a shorter average depth of target. You're going to need him to cross the goal line. You're going to need that volume to go his way. Maybe the wide receivers kick off this week. Maybe that happens. Maybe Aaron Jones goes off. Maybe they get too far ahead. Those are all ways this could run bad for TJ Hockenson. But still, the odds are in his favor. The odds are good. He's getting a good target share. We got a defense that is allowing a good clip to tight ends when it comes to fantasy production. That is a good look for TJ Hockenson going into this game. We're looking at the Bears running backs. DeAndre Swift's questionable. Sounds like he's probably going to play. Sounds like it. You also got Travis Homer there to pay attention to. And DeAndre Swift's been up and down. He had a good 4-week run. That felt like it was a lot longer than that. Some RB2 weeks baked into there. But he's been on the downturn right now. However, when you're looking at the Vikings here, when it comes to allowing fantasy points to running backs, lately, since like week 9, they've been rather stout. And on top of that, they bent a little bit to James Conner and Bijan Robinson. Prior to that, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kyren Williams, they went off against them. But those are the only 2 running backs that went off against them this year. Outside of that, they have been rather steady. They have already shut down DeAndre Swift this year. This is a gamble play at the running back position. He's a good RB2-ish this week, as in looking at a guy who's getting touches, targets out of the backfield. How could he go off for 20-plus PPR fantasy points? Would be him catching the ball out of the backfield, being explosive, getting some run in the red zone. How could he run bad? It's just the Vikings getting up, shutting them down, doing what they did last time against the Bears. And the Bears were at home in that game. That being said, DeAndre Swift is a gamble play at RB2. He is going to get volume. Maybe some work in the passing game. Maybe Roschon Johnson's out. So it's not like he's going to be sharing a lot of the workload. Travis Homer will be there. But they're going to look to use DeAndre Swift. That groin acts up is another issue you're looking at with DeAndre Swift. So there's some things here that could run bad. The things that could run good is him being explosive in the open field. Because that's what DeAndre Swift does. He's an up and down play. He's been that all season long. You're looking at these Bears wide receivers, and you got a carousel effect with a drunk Carney here. That's pretty what you're saying here with the Bears wide receivers. The carousel effect means that any wide receiver on that team can get it on any given Sunday, and usually one does, and usually the other 2 are just fighting for the ancillary work, and we're kind of seeing that with the Bears. DJ Moore has 3 wide receiver 1 weeks. Keenan Allen has 3 wide receiver 1 weeks. Odunze has 1, but a big-time wide receiver 2 week baked in there, and they're just sharing the workload. And the thing is, this has to break open. Against the Vikings, DJ Moore did well against them, but it could be any touch, any series, any opportunity that the other wide receivers break off. These are gamble plays with a lot of upside in this matchup. When you're looking at the Vikings, they're above league average when it comes to allowing fantasy points to wide receivers, especially in the last 3 weeks. Up 34.1% compared to league average, 46 points per game. 40.9 on the season, 24.4% above league average, and they'll bend a lot, and they'll break a little bit here and there. They broke to Amon-Ra, Jaden Reed, Garrett Wilson. They broke to DJ Moore, almost to Nick Westbrook. They broke to Darnell Mooney. These guys will break, and they'll bend a little bit. So the targets might get spread out, and they might bend to all three of these wide receivers in some way, shape, or form. One of these wide receivers could blow up. I think if you want to gamble on top-end production, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore is your safer bets. Odunze is a big-time flex gamble play. But if you're looking for a flex gamble play in a matchup like this with Caleb Williams hossing it back there and you do not know what you're going to get out of him, that's a good gamble play to make if you understand that there's a lot of downside but a lot of upside as well. DJ Moore's due to hit. Keenan Allen's due to hit. And we're looking at that to happen. This is a good matchup for this, but it is a gamble play. We're looking at Cole Kmet. He's got 3 tight end 1 weeks on the season. He's hit double-digit PPR fantasy points 3 times on the season. Honestly, when I look at start-sit questions in the market for fantasy football, I don't see a lot of people starting him in general. The Vikings are middle of the road when it comes to allowing fantasy points to tight ends. Why am I going to soak up volume to Cole Kmet when I got these 3 good wide receivers, DeAndre Swift catching the ball out in the flat? He's a big-time gamble play. How could it pay off for you? Red zone looks, maybe breaking one open in the open field with them having to cover those 3 wide receivers. Caleb Williams hossing it in this game. He could hoss it. He's up and down, but he could hoss it. And if he hosses it, a guy like Cole Kmet could eat. But he's very unstable. He's very down unless he's very up. He's one of those types of players. You do not know what you're going to get with a Cole Kmet. That's what I'm saying. So he's a big-time gamble play going in this matchup, which, if Caleb Williams is on fire, this could be a good one for Cole Kmet. If he's not, it could be nasty, ugly. Falcons, Raiders, 44.5 over-under. This is going to be an interesting matchup. These guys do not play each other much. They do not play each other often, so we can't really look at the older matchups. Vegas is saying this is going to be middle of the road, and mainly due to the quarterback instabilities for the Raiders. We got a little bit for the Falcons. That's been up and down. But still, we're looking at this matchup here. It could be a nasty one or a really fun one to watch late tonight. You're looking at Kirk Cousins. Which Kirk Cousins are you going to get today? That is the question. Which one? Desmond Ridder might get his revenge game. Who would have thought a Desmond Ridder revenge game was in the cards? Aiden O'Connell, Farva is questionable today. No practice, still questionable. We're throwing that out there. We're hoping Aiden O'Connell comes back in so we can get some stability. Desmond Ridder coming in, just throws shit into the wind here for the Raiders offense. It just throws shit into the wind. It's not projectable. It could be really bad, or it might be YOLO for a player or two. That's the thing about that. Or they might be down enough where they get garbage time, or they might be so down that this whole team's worthless for fantasy football. We're watching that. Kirk Cousins, we're watching him too. This could be his comeback game. He's been up and down this back half of the season. We're watching that. But looking at Sincere McCormick, got a lot of questions about him. Alexander Mattison is serving as the backup. We've covered that. There's a good chance that's true. 80% reliability rating per CoachSpeak.com. So there's a good chance Sincere McCormick is getting a guy getting a workload. However, when you go back to that 80% reliability rating and you funnel that back to prior to the season, right in the start of the season, they want to use 2 running backs. So maybe it's 80-20, 70-30 when it comes to the touch distribution. They want to use 2 running backs. They do want to pound out the football. The fact that we have quarterback instabilities here with Desmond Ridder or an injured quarterback, they might be running the football. They might be trying that out. However, the Falcons, they're pretty good at shutting down running backs when it comes to fantasy production. That's just not a good look when you're looking at this matchup here. But when you're looking at them throughout the season, they'll either shut you out or bend a little bit. They'll shut you out or bend a little bit. They broke a few times this year. It's not like they won't break. They broke Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker, Rico Dowdle, and that's it. So when you're looking at those are running backs who are getting a lot of volume, who are the main back in the offense, and they all got some explosiveness to their game. Rico Dowdle is very explosive. Very, very underrated running back for the Dallas Cowboys, who could go off on any given Sunday. The running backs they're shutting down are in matchups where the game script just goes haywire. That being said, there's a good chance that Sincere McCormick lays you down probably about 10 fantasy points. Somewhere around there. Probably around the 10 range. 10, 11, 12. How could he blow up for 20? Red zone looks. Red zone looks. Catching the ball out of the backfield, breaking free. We got to break free. How could this run bad? This game script goes to hell with Desmond Ridder. That is the risk here. Desmond Ridder sucks. We get a lot of 3 and outs. We get a lot of pick sixes. This game script goes to hell. And all of a sudden, the Raiders, back into the first quarter, middle second quarter, they're playing from behind. How can this look well for Sincere McCormick? They run the ball early in the game. He breaks loose a couple times. They feel confident with that. They feel like that's the only way they can move the ball. They keep pounding it out between these 2 running backs. That's how he could win it on the field. So you're really watching Desmond Ridder. Both these games tonight is on the young quarterback. Can that young quarterback exceed expectations? Or will they flounder? That is the thing. Desmond Ridder is less likely than Caleb Williams. Not a great talent at all. Very scary thing to look at. And also when you're looking at Jakobi Meyers, I expect the targets to be there. I'm not expecting a lot of them to be accurate. That's the thing about this. But Atlanta will get in shootouts because they shut out the run. This is a pass funnel defense. A pass funnel defense that should expect volume in the passing game. However, with the Raiders back there, that could be ugly volume. But Jakobi Meyers, if you're looking at starting him, which a lot of you are, just look at him as a gamble play. The volume should be there 5+ targets easy. So if they have to get creative, Trey Tucker could be another guy to look at, or the other wide receivers. I would not be surprised if there's a surprise wide receiver or pass catcher that hits on us like a Michael Mayer or somebody like that. But when we're looking at the Falcons, they bend in every game but one, and they broke a few times the wide receivers. They broke last week to Jordan Addison, the week prior to Lad McConkey. MVS hit on them. You're looking at times where they almost broke. I'm talking about 20-plus points games. Deontay Johnson, Metcalf. It's there. It's there. Von Smith went off. Rashad Rice went off. That being said, Jakobi Meyers has a chance. It's all on the quarterback. He's got the volume. He's a gamble play. We're looking at Brock Bowers. I want to know if anybody's planning on benching him. You got to have somebody else do so. He's Brock Bowers. He had a down game last week against Tampa Bay. Again, quarterback instabilities. That might be another clue that you do not want this offense. That might be a Sincere McCormick clue. Brock Bowers, on the other hand, targets for days. And you're looking at Atlanta, they shut down tight ends. But Brock Bowers isn't your usual tight ends. The tight ends they bent to, Taysom Hill, Noah Fant, Cade Otton, Jake Ferguson. So guys who are getting volume, guys who are very respected in their offenses, but they've also shut down tight ends who are good, like a TJ Hockenson. Taysom Hill, they shut him down as well. That being said, this is an iffy game. They shut down Travis Kelce. They shut down Dallas Goedert. This is an iffy game for Brock Bowers. This is an iffy game for Brock Bowers. But he's one of those players that in a matchup like this with bad quarterback play could make you cry on the bench too, because he can go off. He can get you that 30 spot. There's not many tight ends in the NFL that you look at that could get you a 30 spot in a game. Brock Bowers is a guy you must look at. Now we're looking at the Atlanta Falcons. We're looking at Bijan Robinson. Is there anyone out there actually benching Bijan Robinson? That is the question here. Bijan Robinson has a lot of upside in any given matchup. When you're looking at the Raiders, they've had stints where they were just straight up breaking throughout the season, especially the early part of the year, and they're usually bending or breaking. There's been a couple games in weeks 12 and 13 where they shut down some backs. Outside of that, they're bending and breaking. And that being said, on the season, they're about league average when it comes to allowing fantasy points to running backs. But if you throw out those two games, it's a little higher than league average. It's a little higher than league average. How can Bijan Robinson bust on us? This game script gets out of hand due to Desmond Ridder. It's all on Desmond Ridder. He could really bust on us. If the Falcons defense scores points on the Raiders, and it's a couple of times, that might change things up. They might use Tyler Algier a little bit more because we're in the back end of the season, and we might just want to get some usage out of him. get some goal line looks out of him. He has vultured some touchdowns this year. He has 508 yards on the season, is averaging 5 yards per carry. He's solid between the tackles. Bijan Robinson, I do not know of one person in this world that I've came across that's benched him for this week. That is your indicator. This is a good matchup for him because they could be up in this game. They could be using him between the tackles and also be using Tyler Algier. If you're looking for a gamble running back for this week, which your decision should have been already made, Tyler Algier is a possibility for you. Not a guarantee or anything, but a possibility for you to gamble with. And you're looking at the wide receivers here, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and Ray McCloud. All three of them have the potential to hit here against the Raiders. Drake London is getting a good target share, elite target share almost at 27%. Darnell Mooney at 22%. Both these guys got some upside in this matchup. How could these wide receivers break? Is if the Falcons get up early. There's a risk for that. However, if we can keep this somewhat tight so they have to rip it in the passing game, then this could be a good matchup for them where they go off because they're bending to a lot of wide receivers. They're not shutting a lot of teams down. That being said, you're looking at this matchup as a potential bend to Drake London at like 10 to 12 with an upside play in there. Same thing with Darnell Mooney. They're bending every week to a wide receiver. The times where they shut teams down, Josh Reynolds at Denver when Bo Nix was establishing himself. George Pickens against Pittsburgh when they were slower paced. That being said, when you're looking at this against good quarterbacks, they're at least bending. They broke a few times. They broke last week to Jalen McMillan. They broke to Zay Flowers. They broke to Deontay Johnson. That being said, we got some upside in this game. The downside is Desmond Ridder. Both sides of the ball. Same story with both games here. The quarterback play is what's causing it. Same thing with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts could accidentally get more volume. And you're looking at the Raiders. They're middle of the road, if not a little bit worse, when it comes to allowing fantasy points to tight ends. He has not hit in fantasy football since week 8. So a lot of people are probably not starting him. He may be even on waivers in your league. And you're looking at what this team's been doing to the tight end spot. And they've been getting eat up. Week 8, Travis Kelce goes off. Mike Gesicki goes off in week 9. Jonnu Smith goes off in week 11. Adam Trotman busts. Travis Kelce goes off in week 13. Cade Otton gets you 10. Going off for a tight end is 10 or more PPR fantasy points. Once you crack the double digits, you're pushing tight end 1 status. And some weeks you're like top 5. That being said, they've been getting eaten alive at the tight end spot. If it wasn't for that 1.3 game against Denver, they'd be above league average in the last 3 weeks. Easy when it comes to allowing fantasy points to tight ends. This could be a game where he gets more targets. There's something going on with this defense where the tight ends are going off. And what I'm seeing with these tight ends, though, that are allowing them to do well against them, they're all tight ends that get volume. Travis Kelce, Gesicki gets good volume. Jonnu Smith's been getting good volume. Kelce again. Otton's always been getting good volume. So Kyle Pitts is getting a 14% target share. He's not getting a lot of volume. He's not getting that. His ADOT's at 9.1. He's getting stretched more down the field compared to most tight ends. That's kind of why, or one of the reasons why he's not racking up as much volume as some of the other tight ends. You're also sharing the field with Drake London with a 27% target share. You got Darnell Mooney, 22% target share. Ray McCloud's target share is pretty decent. Bijan Robinson's target share is pretty decent. That makes Kyle Pitts a gamble when it comes to workload. It's a favorable matchup. The game script could get weird. He is a gamble tight end this week. He is every week. So buyer beware with Kyle Pitts. The upside's there as well. That's what makes him a gamble because of the Raiders' defense and the potential game script. The downside is the volume in the passing game. I just laid that down to you because the ball's spraying everywhere. It's spraying everywhere, so opportunities are limited for Kyle Pitts. The deeper ADOT makes it harder for him to rack up targets, but that makes it easier to splash on any given play because he's getting deeper targets downfield. Those are the matchups for tonight's game. Let me know what you need in the comments below. We're going to drop them rally caps on you. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.